Hey, what's up everybody? It's Kendall Stokes coming at you. Got another video for you for the Spin Doctor and his Vinyl Mayhem YouTube channel. Today is Sunday, June 25th. We're almost halfway through the year. Go figure. But today I thought I'd come to you and talk about yesterday, which was June 24th, about the VC meetup. That was put together by Dave, the VC ambassador. It was a lot of fun. It was put together because of the special guest visitor of Steve Carlson that came down to Charlotte to visit. If you don't know Steve, where have you been? Steve's been doing this whole vinyl community YouTube thing for a long time. Been a big fan of his, and he came down to visit, see the Charlotte area, meet Dylan at Noble Records for the first time in person. He's known Dylan, but hasn't actually met him in person or been to the store. But he's known Dave for a while, and some other guys down in this area for a while as well. And so they put this meetup together, and a bunch of us that are in the area all met up. I'll go ahead and tell you who all was there. Obviously Dave, the VC ambassador, and I'm going to put links in below for everyone's channel as well. Dave was there because Dave was kind of the tour guide for Steve through all this. Obviously Steve Carlson, John from the Digital Gramophone, who lives in the area as well, Steve Bender, known as Zonkman, who lives kind of up towards Winston-Salem area. Art, the North Carolina vinyl picker, was there as well. He lives out towards the Asheville area, out in the western part of the state. He came to visit as well. And then Eric Weinbender from Greenville, South Carolina came up. He met us as well. And this is the first time I met pretty much all of these guys except for Dave, because Dave is pretty much my neighbor. He just lives a few miles away, and I've met him many times at Noble and Lunchbox, but pretty much at Noble. We passed by many times and talked records and helped him get some records at some of Dylan's big drops, you know. But anyway, so had an awesome day yesterday at this meetup. Was very excited to meet Steve. I've, you know, big fan of his Sunday morning, early morning Sunday show for a long time. So very excited to meet him and all the other guys. We spent a lot of time at Noble. We went and got lunch at this place in Stallings, just down the road. Got some barbecue. Went to Lunchbox. Went to Premium Sound. Then I had to leave from Premium. Yesterday was actually my brother's birthday. We went and saw the movie The Flash. And then today's actually my mother's birthday. We're gonna go up to Salisbury here later on and spend the day with her. But thought I'd make this video real quick and talk about this meetup and just the good time I had getting to know these guys who I hadn't met before, you know, talk music with them, and just, you know, spend time really just, you know, getting to know other people and sharing in this community, this VC, you know, this vinyl community that is, you know, it's a lot of fun when you can get to know other people that have this love that you have of music and of records, and, you know, so just a lot of fun, you know, and Steve coming all the way down from Michigan, really cool. Steve's a great guy, and he brought some VCLT, my very first VCLT. He gave this to me. It's a record I'd never seen before, although I believe he showed it before on one of his videos, but this is called Los Bichos, I believe. Don't know a whole lot about this band. I did some research. This is right here. They are a band formed out of England in 2017. This is their first record that they released last year, called Let the Festivities Begin. They're an instrumental group. You would say they're they're psychedelic surf disco music, I guess. Disco safari, I don't know. Basically psychedelic Latin dance music is what I would call it. But Steve brought this down. He had gifts for everybody, and this is what he gave me. He asked me, he said, "Do you like surf music? Do you like instrumental?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, sure, of course." He's like, "Well, here, I think you'll like this then." I was like, "All right." It's on pink vinyl here. This is actually the Vinyl Me Please, number 466 out of 500. Very cool. So thank you very much, Steve. I listened to it already. It's very enjoyable. It's definitely got that Latin, vibe. Just cool music to have on in the background, I would say. Definitely different. Nothing I have in my catalog right now. But very, very cool. It's always cool when you get a gift from somebody, so I'll have to repay him sometime in the future. So, but yeah, Los Bichos, I believe, is how you pronounce it. Don't really know, but have to keep an eye on these ladies here. This one came out last year. See what comes of them in the future. So anyway, but like I said, we met up at Noble first, and we spent a good chunk of change there at Noble. I, however, only walked out with 2 records. First one, this is actually a record that I've seen in the VC plenty of times. As a matter of fact, Steve Carlson showed this a few weeks ago in his top 10 records of 1986. And like I said, I've seen it probably at many stores many times. And I finally decided, after listening to Steve talk about it, and just because of who it is and the fact that I've really been getting into blues rock lately, I decided to pick this up, and it is Robert Cray, Strong Persuader. I'll pull this out of here because I know there's more of a glare. But this is actually a super nice copy of it. Get the glare off of it. It's still in the shrink. It's got the hype sticker. Original price tag on it still as well, if you can see that. This is just a great 80s blues rock with a little bit of jazz because there's some horn in it too. But just a great record. And honestly, one of the cleanest copies you may ever see of it too. It's on that Mercury label, if you can see that without the glare. On that Mercury label. I think I paid $7 for this over at Noble. I mean, listened to it this morning actually. It's just a great record. If you don't know this record, it's very accessible and very affordable. It won a Grammy. Sold, I think, 2 million copies here in the United States. Very, very good record. If you like blues rock, definitely look into this. Robert Cray, great guitar player. I first heard Robert Cray through Eric Clapton. Everyone knows I'm a huge Eric Clapton fan. So I was introduced to him through Eric Clapton. Watching those Crossroads guitar festivals that Eric Clapton would put on. Robert Cray was always there. Robert Cray would go on tour with Clapton quite a bit. Matter of fact, the new 24 Nights that they just reissued, Robert Cray was there for the blues night. So yeah, so very excited to add this to the collection. It's a very good record, very accessible, very won't break the bank either. So definitely one that I would suggest to anyone else. The other record I picked up at Noble as well is one goes into my soundtrack collection, and one that I've never seen before. And it's from a movie that I guarantee you a lot of people probably haven't seen because it was a huge box office flop. It is the soundtrack to the movie Rhinestone. Yes, that. And I just dropped the record. Whoopsie. Glad it was in something to protect it. Anyway, the movie Rhinestone. If you don't know this movie, it's okay. A lot of people don't. But that is Sylvester Stallone and Dolly Parton. This movie came out in 1984. Right off the heels of the success of Rocky III and First Blood. Sylvester Stallone is actually one of the writers of the screenplay of this. Yes, it's from the title, Rhinestone Cowboy, but it really has nothing to do with that. If you don't know, the movie's based off, it's about Dolly Parton is a very successful performer at this New York City club owned by this guy who she's under contract with this guy, and she's just tired of playing at this club, and it's the same old thing. She can't really do her own stuff types, and she misses being her own person, playing her own stuff. It's the same thing every night. And so she makes a bet with this New York City club owner that she could turn anybody into a successful country singer. And he said, okay, but I get to pick who. And right outside the club is Sylvester Stallone, who pulls up. He's a New York City cab driver, and he's full Italian, and come to find out he hates country music. So Dolly Parton has 2 weeks to turn him into a country singer. So she takes him back to her hometown in Tennessee, yada yada. It's a funny movie, but it's 80s funny. So I would say if you like comedy, you like country music, you like Dolly Parton, you like Sylvester Stallone, it's worth a watch. Like the movie flopped. It's actually Sylvester Stallone's first comedy he ever did. I think they were trying to break into the success of his action movie stardom. But anyway, the movie may have been a bust, but the soundtrack actually gave Dolly Parton 2 top 10 hits. Tennessee Homesick Blues and God Won't Get You. All songs except for one were written by Dolly Parton. That would be The Day My Baby Died. And this will probably be the only album you have that has Sylvester Stallone singing on it. So just keep that in mind if you ever find this. Pick this up for like $5. It's actually in really, really great shape too. But the main reason why I bought this was for the nostalgia factor, because when I was a kid, and still even today, my dad will say that this is his favorite movie. I'm always certain that he's kidding, but at the same time, I don't know. But anyway, like I said, it's a funny movie. It's fun. Is it the best movie in the world? Well, heck no. But it's worth watching at least once. So anyway, after we spent time at Noble, we went and got lunch. Got some barbecue, introduced Steve to some barbecue, cheer wine, that kind of stuff. We then went to Lunchbox, which is where Eric Weinbender met us as well. Spent some time there, and this is where I picked up these next 2 records. The first one I got, this was based off of a recommendation from Mr. Steve Carlson. This one is The Dream Syndicate. This is their 2020 release. Let me get that glare off of it here again. Now, obviously, that's just a funky looking, crazy psychedelic cover right there. But this album is called The Universe Inside. Again, it came out in 2020. The reason I picked this up is, for one, it was a recommendation from Steve. Steve's into all kinds of stuff. That's one thing I love about Steve's channel, is I can learn so much just by watching his stuff. He talks about all different kinds of music, whether it's classic rock, whether it's some fusion psychedelic instrumental stuff, whether it's pop, whether it's country, whether it's hip hop, even metal, punk, post punk, all kinds of stuff. And so we were at Lunchbox, and it was just kind of me and him talking for a few minutes, and he was asking me, he said, so tell me about your tastes. What do you like? And so I was telling him, well, I like all kinds of stuff. I like this, I like that. He said, okay, well, what about this? And he found this record, and this was in the clearance section. It was still sealed, brand new. It was only like $10. He said, have you heard of Dream Syndicate? I said, well, I've heard of them, but I honestly don't know anything about them. So if you're unfamiliar with the Dream Syndicate, originally formed in 1981 out of Los Angeles, California. Lead singer, vocalist, frontman, lyricist, Steve Wynn. They are basically considered alternative rock, but associated with the neo-psychedelic movement and Paisley Underground movement in California back in the 80s. Paisley Underground obviously started back in the 60s with that whole flower rock, the Birds and that psychedelic stuff back in the 60s into the 70s, and then continued into the 80s with in California, and they were considered part of that. So obviously you look at that cover, you think psychedelic acid, mess with your mind. And the whole first side of the first record is a 20-minute song called The Regulator. That right there kind of tells you a whole lot. But Steve said, look, he said, this isn't as good as their first record, which came out in 1982. He said, but it's a place to start. And I said, okay, cool. For $10, I'll give it a listen. And there's some pretty good stuff on there. Not everything has lyrics. A lot of it is, very out there, sounds, guitar, but then there's some horns and, very, very, it'll definitely take you on a trip. Obviously if I had like a gummy or something, that'd really take you on a trip. But, for $10, I was willing to give it a listen, and, it makes me want to go back now and definitely listen to like their first record, especially since Steve said it wasn't as good as their first record. So I'm definitely going to give their first album a listen to. But this isn't bad. For $10, it's definitely not bad. So thank you for the recommendation, Steve. I liked it. Is it my favorite? Well, no, but it's different, and I like different. So very cool. The other record that I picked up, this was in their used section, but it was still sealed, and it was like $16, and it's usually like a $25 to $28 record, and it is Dred Zeppelin. Now, if you don't know Dred Zeppelin, that's okay. They originally formed in 1989. And there's a whole thing on the back here, but and I'll read part of it here. It says, perhaps one of the most unique bands to emerge out of California, and that's saying something. Dred Zeppelin have defied expectations throughout their career, fusing a homespun West Coast reggae sound inspired by classic rock as it was by Bob Marley. The group, composed of a handful of stellar musicians and impressionable frontman Tort Elvis, released their debut album Unleaded, Un-Led-Ed in 1990 to more than a few incredulous stares, but also to some high acclaim even from main Zeppman Robert Plant himself. 2 decades later, Dred Zeppelin remain an indelible part of music history as this greatest moments compilation clearly shows, featuring recently recorded versions of all-time favorites and a few Dread originals. Reletted is a bold testament to their Rastafarian rockers Dread On. So this is actually a comp of that came out in 2000 that was first put on vinyl back in 2015. So this is the 2015. It's actually just been reissued again this year. It's on red vinyl. Right here. So cool looking red vinyl. But these guys, it's definitely different. The reason I bought this is because, Lindsay, my wife, she loves reggae, she loves Led Zeppelin, and she loves covers. And, these definitely don't sound like the originals, that's for sure. We got stuff on here like Whole Lotta Love, Hey Hey What Can I Do, Kashmir, The Lemon Song, Rock and Roll, Kingston Celebration, Heartbreaker, Going to California, Dire Maker, Immigrant Song, 10 Years Gone, Stairway to Heaven. So very, very cool. The cover is very cool because it's, an homage to Led Zeppelin 2. But I just wanted to give it a try because, I've seen the name Dread Zeppelin many times, just never really gave it a listen. I listened to the first half. It's different, but it's pretty cool. I mean, if you like reggae, you like Led Zeppelin, why not? So for the price, I figured it wasn't a bad thought. And anytime I can buy a record that my wife will like too, that's always a perk. And so yeah, figured why not. So give this one a try if you like reggae and you like Led Zeppelin. I think you'll like it. So Dread Zeppelin. This is called Reletted, the best stuff. So very, very cool. And then the last place we went after was Premium, like I mentioned. Premium, just reopened. They found a new location. I think it's in a guitar shop called Gold Tone, I think. A little bit smaller, but still nice to have them open again. And I got one record from there, and it is, me, I've been into the blues lately, and Muddy Waters especially, and I found this gem, and it is Muddy Waters, the Real Folk Blues. This was back in the 60s, the Real Folk Blues, they did a bunch of comps. They did one for, I think, Memphis Slim, Howlin' Wolf, John Lee Hooker. But this one is one that it's been on my want list for a while. This is a reissue of it that came out in 1986 or 7. It is on the Chess label, although it's technically not Chess because Chess was no longer around. It was, I think, MCA after this. But this is technically in a kind of like the OJCs were back in the 80s for jazz. This is OCC, but I mean it's for the blues, so it's technically the same thing. It's done the same way. I've heard good things about these 80s reissues on the OJC, so I'm very excited about this. It's VG Plus all the way. It's still in the shrink actually, which is very cool. But very excited to add this to the collection because odds are this is going to sound better than an original would, because I've heard countless times that the original Chess records are just total trash, don't really sound good, but these sound really good. So very excited to add this. This has, like I said, so many great classic songs from the 60s. Mannish Boy, Screaming and Crying, Walkin' Blues, Rollin' and Tumblin'. So yeah, just some great Muddy classics. Like I said, lately I've just been in a Muddy Waters, groove, and I'm just very excited to add this to the collection. But yeah, that's the last one I picked up, and I mean, I honestly didn't break the bank either for 5 records. So very excited. Like I said, I had a lot of fun yesterday hanging out with those guys, getting to know them. I will post, like I said, links to all their channels in the description below. Check them all out if you haven't already. Odds are you probably already know most of them if you're subscribed to my channel. Those guys have bigger followings than I do. I'm sure you know. So, but I just want to say thank you to all of you guys for letting me hang out with you. It was a lot of fun. I had a blast. It was what I've needed. I've had a lot going on here recently, and I needed this weekend to happen. So thank you guys. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Zonkman. Thank you, John. Thank you, Art, for letting me hang out with you guys. I had a blast. I hope to do it again sometime. So if you haven't subscribed to those guys, subscribe to them. If you aren't subscribed to me, you know, feel free. I'd appreciate it. If not, it's all good, guys. Hope you liked what you saw. Give me the old thumbs up if you did. Leave me some comments below. But until next time, see you guys, and have a great weekend. Have a great week.